All right, welcome back to The Horror with Mike.
And Nate.
On this episode, we are going into Scream on MTV, episode 4 out of 10. Yep. Okay, this is one of the reasons that I am still interested in all of it, is that not only do we have our killer pool, but truthfully, we have our victim pool, which is pretty big. Is like, we have to see a lot of people die.
Yeah.
So these episodes can consistently probably kill 2 characters an episode.
They've been very sparing with the murder.
No one
so
died
far.
this episode.
No. Although it was probably the most suspensefully executed episode so far.
Yeah.
Even though, there wasn't a big kill or a big moment like that.
And there was some good gore and stuff. Like, no kills, but we get a really good-looking charred, fucked up body.
Yeah.
A decapitated head, which looked a little fake, but I appreciate that it was really, like, gross with, like, bones and shit showing.
Falling apart, kind of.
Yeah, and then a really good-looking pig carcass. That doesn't mean anything to me. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that it's like, this is where the heart my mom got came from, and it's like that blood is fresh as fuck.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. But anyway, so yeah, they're doing good at least on that. They got a good makeup effects person, so when it does start to get a little heavier or something, they'll more than likely deliver, because that was some pretty good looking stuff. So as far as the episode, again, this is going to be recap, analysis, in depth, so spoilers, but by episode 4 again,
Yeah.
you already know this.
You're either in it or you're not in it.
It was written by Aaron Mayer and Kay Rendell. They wrote for like Millennium, Dead Zone, and my favorite, which really showed in this episode, Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, it was very Scooby-Doo-ish.
Very
it
Scooby-Doo-ish. And then it was directed by Brian Dannelly, most well known for directing the feature film Saved with Macaulay Culkin, Mandy Moore.
Okay.
From a few years ago. I was very impressed with the directing this week, especially given how typical the rest of it has been.
Yeah.
But the writing and the directing is like, we got really cool locations. They go to an empty hospital that was really well designed, really cool, really creepy.
Yeah, the killer's lair looked good.
Yeah.
The air quotes killer's lair.
Right, yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. But I was like, this was the first time where I said to myself, like, oh, nice.
Yeah.
It didn't really carry over too much, but it had a really cool score at the beginning, and it has the best shot that's probably ever going to be in this show is in this episode, where it's just like, and it's like a helicopter shot over the burning car.
Yeah.
Towards the bridge and turns not upside down, but straight. And then like behind the cop and it raises up. And there was a lot of like good camera movement.
Yeah.
So anyway, the directing I thought was really good. And that writing, although uneventful, was, and maybe it's not uneventful. Let me just say this right out quick, is that I started gathering all pieces of coming this season trailer and all this kind of stuff, and I collected about 80 images of the show, and I was like, all right, this is cool. This will be like a few episodes. As they're pacing it, I'm not getting rid of a lot of pictures, So I'm like, oh shit, I think I now know what happens the entire series, and I've honed into the writing style, unless they change it, that I can tell what happens to connect images and this, that, the other. And so this episode, I knew where it was going and what was going to happen. And so I was like, shit, I studied too hard for this one. Because it's very obvious by this point.
It wasn't a hard test. And,
it's very obvious by this point. It is plain slasher movie cut into 10 pieces.
Yeah.
Sorry to break the news. It is now obvious. But anyway, okay, so we start out, everybody's mourning Riley's death. It cuts right to the outside of the police station, which we saw the end of the last episode. Thing to point out in this scene is, they're teenage, younger actors. They pull their weight enough, more than they have, especially Noah.
Yes.
I won't call him Jamie Kennedy anymore. He was pretty good. It's convincing mourning for whatever. I'm proud of the little guys. Again, you can color. Good for you. Then we have that really cool update of the bridge scene. Well shot, energetic. Probably my favorite sequence from the show thus far, where they find the mask hidden in the wreckage. Like, that's really cool. So now the police have one of Brandon James's masks. So they think it was Tyler in the car. They find charred body. They're trying to figure out the DNA. It's probably Tyler's body, but they can't find the head. Then we move into Brooke, who gets a bit more screen time, more elaborated. They finally talk or reveal that the mayor is her father. We get more into her
And I like
mother's-
the actor that plays her dad as well.
Yeah, he's not bad. I mean,
I like the actor.
is he from something? Or?
I think he was in Mad Men for a couple of seasons.
Okay, that would make sense. He
Yeah.
looks like a 50s fucking gentleman.
He was just, I guess maybe he was too good at being slimy. So when it was revealed that something was fishy about him, I was like, oh, of course. This guy doesn't seem like a straight arrow. You know?
Right. No writer can resist a politician who's not skeezy.
Definitely.
Ever.
So yeah, I like the actor, but I don't find the character interesting, even slightly, and I don't care what happens to him, really.
Yeah, pretty much. So anyway, Brooke gets a little bit of whatever. The actress tries a little harder. She seems to be getting a little bit better, so that's good.
I noticed that in this episode I liked her a lot more because the director focused on her legs.
The director focuses on booty quite a bit.
Yeah, and
I noticed that.
and a lot of her scenes are like either reclining
Yeah.
at poolside or in her bed with her long, shapely legs stretched out. So
Yeah.
that made her character more interesting.
I don't think I've ever said this. She reminds me of Nev Campbell. She has Nev Campbell looks and bone structure and shit like that. Every once in a while you'll catch a glimpse of it. Just look for it. It's there. There's a Twitter poll that's going out, which I thought this was actually really clever. Getting killed. Who do you want to get killed? Emma or Brooke? And like 576 people say Brooke, and like 3, who are the killers, I'm sure. I'm joking, but I'm not. Say Emma. And so I just thought that was so good to like have a character that everyone like fucking wants to die.
And that was one
And
of the
have her
rare
deal with
instances
that.
where they had a clever use of
Life imitating art,
technology.
and
Yeah.
that on Twitter, I'm sure people are being like, fucking kill Brooke. Like, you know.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool to have her deal with that. More stuff about her mom disappearing. I'm not spoiling anything by saying her dad fucking killed her mom. You know, and
Right.
that's why he's getting blackmailed. I don't exactly know where that's all heading or whatever, but anyway.
Probably the big win for this episode character-wise was Brooke. They put in work and they made her a lot more sympathetic than she's been up until this point.
Right.
Up until this point, she was, oh, well, the Queen Bee Mean Girl died, so now I'm the new Queen Bee. And this actually gave her a little bit of depth. I appreciate that. The actress did a good job.
I call it the Mandy Lane, where the most sympathetic character in Mandy Lane ends up being the bitch.
Yeah.
A plot point that the show seems to have dropped altogether is the lake. Like, it was shown that Brooke lives on the lake,
Yeah.
and not only do they not talk about that anymore, but the lake has fucking disappeared as a plot element that's tied to Brandon James so far. So anyway, we move on to what's her face? Emma gets a gift, which is the 1994 yearbook. She looks in it. We then get the names of the 1994 victims. But it's Dara Albion, which is the girl we saw get her throat slit in episode 3.
Yeah, I think that was 3.
Brett Kenner, who was the guy with the stick in the eye. Someone named Laura Casey, Trent Price, and Mike Vincent. So we have to see those 3 people's part of the story. And Kevin, who's, you know, the husband, father, gets fucked up but doesn't die type thing. So we have to see his whole thing. That's one of the things about the show. We've still yet to meet him or Brandon James's older brother, Troy. So those are things to look forward to.
Yeah.
Or it's plot threads that haven't even remotely been, like, addressed. We don't know the tip of the iceberg on that yet. So anyway, we cut all the faces out. We find out that her mom's maiden name was Margaret Anderson. I don't know if that means anything, but still, that's out there. The dad's face is all scratched out, and there's a note that says, "The truth lies where the mask was made." So that's what takes them to the abandoned hospital, yada, yada, yada. We get to that. One of the things about the hospital that I appreciated right off the bat is, that it's not bright, colorful L.A. anymore, you know? We're starting to get a little dirty, gringy horror movie settings. Like, I appreciate the shit out of that.
Yeah.
And it had probably my favorite joke of the series so far. Is they walk in and Audrey's like, we should split up. And how the joke was handled, I loved. Because they didn't get overly cute. It was so realistic. where she's just like, don't even fucking joke. Come with me. And she's like, I'm sorry, I was joking. She's like, don't even. And then it's over.
Yeah.
And that is exactly how people would react to that nowadays. That and when they're like, we're going to leave Noah here. He'd be like a kid in a candy store at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Have to keep him on a leash or whatever. That was pretty funny. But yeah, like I said, no, I like seeing those three together. So that was what made this episode pretty good, is those are like probably my three favorite, I guess you could say, characters. So it's good to see them together. And like I said, very Scooby-Doo. I appreciate a little Scooby-Doo.
Very Scooby-Doo, and something that actually jumped out at me was, I don't watch the show Pretty Little Liars. I've seen a total of like an hour of Pretty Little Liars. 5 minutes here, 2 minutes here, 10 minutes there.
Sure.
So when Noah was like, oh, this is like an episode of Pretty Little Liars, it really hit me. I'm like, holy shit, this show is just like Pretty Little Liars, only with a psycho killer in it and some blood. But the show is very much like, something crazy happened in this town a long time ago, and we're getting a series of clues to investigate it. Also very Scooby-Doo-ish. But in a show that we've, time and again, we've brought this up. You listening, go back and listen to all the previous reviews if you haven't. I think it comes up every episode where the show doesn't seem very pop culture savvy. They don't make a lot of references to
horror. They did
horror.
a little bit better in this episode.
Well, they did, and they did it in a way where it was like, Pretty Little Liars, okay. You know, it kind of nailed it.
Yeah, well, it's also what I'm saying is, like, Noah not only name checks shit that's horror related, again, more thriller related if you noticed.
Definitely.
Whatever. More the respectable horror, as it were. Just that joke with the don't even play. Like playing with horror conventions. At least do that kind of stuff. So at least they're kind of doing that. And I like that kind of thing. At the hospital is what I'm calling the Brandon James bat signal.
Yeah.
Is fucking put up on one of the doors. It's like, yeah, if it wasn't obvious I've been here, here's my fucking symbol.
Right. I have a stencil and a spray paint can.
Yeah, whatever.
But if I'm right about who I think the killer is, or one of the killers is, then that totally makes absolute sense.
Right. Okay. Another thing that's revealed is, you were right about this. It's a voice app that changes people's voices. So they're in the hospital. It's all creepy, which I appreciated this. It wasn't laugh out loud funny by any means. But she's like, a guy called me on the phone and he's like, hey, did what? You know? And she's like, oh, it's just an app that you... But she says, we used it in Rachel's zombie movie. That is a plot thread that keeps getting mentioned, that Rachel made zombie movies.
Yeah.
Meaning only in my eyes that she was good with effects. There's more than one Brandon James mask. I don't know if that's going to mean anything. Unless they're like setting up the sequels series and stuff. And then it has a really bad scene in there, which is just that laptop bullshit. Where it's like, why don't you take it with you? Who are you running from? Oh, I'd only managed to get one because we pulled the card.
Everything else was
blah,
corrupted.
blah, blah. Like, I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
But it was still fine. I get what they were trying to do. You needed to energize that scene. So, fair enough, but try a little harder next time.
Yeah.
Then they find Tyler's head, which I thought that was pretty cool.
That was a nice moment.
That was pretty cool. They put the mask on the head. I don't know. Whatever. I like a good severed head jumping out at people.
Absolutely. It was just what it needed. Something, in the context of this show, spectacularly gruesome. You know, even though they haven't been shy about blood, it's not excessive either.
No.
In the context of it being an MTV show, it's excessively bloody, but not really.
No.
So something like this, like a good severed head gag, that was very welcome to me.
Yeah. And the tone of it, that it was like funnier and stuff. I enjoyed that. So they get picked up by the cops. Someone with an anonymous tip pointed it off. I don't know if that's anything, but still.
That was intentional.
Because what's cool other than that is that the cops are like, we went there a week ago, there was nothing there. Jamie Kennedy says it when they're there earlier, that this is staged. Like, why would you set up a killer's lair?
Right.
That could mean nothing other than the point that it's like an orgy of evidence thing that they said in like Minority Report, that it doesn't mean something major big. They're just like, oh, we have to do this kind of thing. Whatever.
Oh, and I think it bears mentioning also, at some point during this episode, Tyler's body that they find early on, just like in Jaws, the officials and the cops, everybody just wants the case to go away, so they're hanging...
They even make a Jaws reference.
Yeah, which was perfect. So they're hanging the crimes on this dead kid who obviously didn't do it.
Right.
The good part about this is it is going to give the kids more freedom for their investigation.
Right.
Because it won't be also an ongoing police investigation.
Right.
So that just makes for a little simpler storytelling, because we want the Scooby-Doo gang to be unfettered and to go to these places and not get caught by the cops.
The cop angle is as annoying as the cell phone angle in movies, and it's a good way of handling it.
Yeah.
So then we get Brooke's father getting an email. He's being blackmailed, more than likely by Jake and Will.
Yes.
Who Jake and Will just, like, they're there for the girls. What they're doing, I'm not interested in. I know it's the B-plot MacGuffin thing that'll turn into something,
I'm just hoping
but it doesn't matter.
I hope they have, like, awesome deaths. That's the only purpose I see them serving in the show, is hopefully to die in a really grisly manner, but...
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. They upload the SD card, upload a video from Nina's laptop, then fucking nerd magic.
Yeah.
He encrypts it, and then it uploads itself to a server that sends a scandalous video of Emma to fucking everybody in the entire town.
Right.
Which, I'm not that big on technology. Maybe that shit is possible. Like
Maybe.
the cloud or something. I don't know.
For me, that moment was... That was a big fart. Not just for the technological aspect of it. Because, sure, yeah, that can happen. You know, I downloaded files.
Right, I'll go with it.
Yeah, but, that was my first time having sex.
That was the only thing I thought made it like, I'll buy it because of that.
But it was just such a teenager moment that, like, I didn't give a shit about at all.
Oh, well, I liked it because I took it as the writers finally doing, again, Scream, where they're like, your lead heroine not only is not a virgin, she lost that shit a while ago.
Yeah. With the deaths and the current mysteries, I couldn't care less about people knowing or watching her first time. So...
Well, no, what I'm saying is, like, I don't care either, but the thing is I think it wasn't well executed, and who cares, but it's hopefully setting up the trope, and that was supposed to be the whole thing, that only virgins live.
Right.
So, anyway, I just think that's kind of cool. Kinda. Emma tells at Gale Weathers to stay in town, which would never happen. That was totally out of character, and just like, this needs to happen, just have it.
What a useless character. You know, Noah he started out just like Jamie Kennedy, but I actually view him as his own character now. At Gale Weathers, she's, in my mind, been completely useless the entire show, up until including now. Like, she's still useless. I wish she would have left town, because she's not bringing anything to the table. No,
not yet. But the thing that she basically functions as is narrator. Her podcast can now play over scenes and give us information.
But they're not making use of that, though.
They make use of it a little bit in this one. But that might have been something where they were like, episode 1 and 2 writing it, they were like, well, we need to have this character for this, and we'll use them for something. Right. And the series is going on, and they're like, I don't fucking know what to use her for.
And this episode, like, her main contribution was, well, I mean, we'll see how it plays out, but it was so obvious of them trying to cast suspicion on her as being a part of it. With the timing of all the computer stuff, it just, the way the scene cut back and forth, it's like, oh, okay, they want me to think that she has something to do with it now because of the computer stuff, and I didn't buy it.
Yeah, and if they didn't stress that enough, their transition was the two of them on the computer, like, oh my god, it went somewhere, and it cut straight to her on her laptop.
Yeah, it was so ham-handed.
Yeah. Okay. So overall, I would say I like this episode. It had some really, like I said, slick directing. It's feeling less MTV. Even just a little bit, and I'll take that. We're not getting any more
Yeah.
fucking basketball games, and most of it doesn't take place at school.
A little bit of Scooby-Doo goes a long way in this show.
It really does.
You know,
and I appreciate that shit.
It helps
and
a lot.
Some more humor.
This was the first episode this season where it made me want to watch the next episode, not because I'm going to review it, but this was an interesting enough episode that I want to... And up until now, I'm watching it every week to review it. This was the first time where I was like, hey, you know, this is kind of interesting.
Fucking A. This is my favorite episode so far.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And there's no deaths that happen. Go figure.
Yeah.
It's just fun enough, slick enough,
some
not
genuine
annoying.
suspense.
They're taking out the annoying stuff and adding in some good stuff. Like, seems like they're starting to even their shit out a little bit more.
Yeah.
Episode, I don't remember actually what I've been giving them, but this gets a good 7. I like it.
Yeah, I'd give this one a 6 out of 10, which is the highest rating I've given to the show so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next week.
Especially because that's what we have to look forward to. I'm really looking forward to episode 5 because halfway through, so this is where we'll get something.
Yeah.
Is going to happen that changes everything. Now, it could be something really lame, but the story is going to twist on itself and become a forward thrust through the rest of it. There was no Kieran in this episode and no Mr. Branson.
All right, so check out our previous Scream reviews. We also review every episode of True Detective Season 2.
Yup.
On our YouTube channel, you'll find a lot of really good material. We do top 5 countdowns. That's a personal favorite of mine. And, you know, best werewolf movies, best vampire movies, best haunted house movies.
Yes.
And we also keep up with the best and some of the worst new release horror movies that are out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, check out all that material. You find us on social media, Facebook and Twitter. We are Frightflix. And this has been The Horror. I'm Nate.
I'm Mike.